Stay Alive is a survival horror tabletop role playing game with elements of violence, emotional trauma, biological infection, and may include other mature content or themes. Viewer discretion is advised.
Government officials insist that this is an isolated incident difficult to damage the brain. Perhaps we will continue to keep you informed.
Previously on Stay Alive. Survivors Rose and Poppy, twin sisters that apparently have been controlled elements and an experiment that has seen one of them purposefully infected as part of ARC experimentation, leaving Rose seemingly perilously ill, while Poppy, recently revealed to be an operative herself, is currently in the process of focusing down avenues in which she can protect her sister Rose. Held up at the Atlanta Zoo, pseudo prisoners of both Ark Industries and a collection of rogue militia known as the Legionnaires, now headed by Crow, a former ally turned self serving mercenary. Rose and Poppy, separated only by a small number of rooms, sees Rose treated by Dr. Lebend, the ARC operative physician originally having infected her, and Abigail Mrozik, the director of ARC Industries, speaking to Operative Poppy. While this duality of circumstance takes place, the rest of our survivors, formerly of the camp, the safety and bastion known as New Eden, survivors David and Julius have paired with a number of rogue ARC operatives looking both to return David's wife Gwen to safety and hopefully extricate and rescue Rose and the yet unknown operative Poppy. As part of this process, the rogue operatives and survivors of New Eden procured a large armored vehicle supplied with stolen ARC munitions and perhaps a bit of brash daring. Ultimately saw the front gate of the zoo crash through with the armored truck, while Julius and one of the more surreptitious and covert operatives, Gemini, make their way around the side, having been released at a distance. Before the moment of praxis, the absolute apex of the chaos sure to come, we pick up with Poppy as you are dismissed from the debriefing provided by Director Mrozik. You are sent on your way after having received notice that the ARC operatives are likely on their way in some capacity. Granted permission to visit your sister so long as it does not interfere with any of the doctor's operations. Abigail Mrozik excuses herself from her office and seems to quickly segue out. disappearing from view. Rose, during your temporary time away from your sister Poppy, Dr. LeBend had gone through a series of makeshift applications of medical care, recognizing Director Morozic's interest in you. You've been provided with a series of blood transfusions, a number of tests run, topical treatment for some of your wounds that yet still linger from your previous battles at New Eden, and separated by a very short stretch. Both of you seem to have relative agency over your direction from here. What would you like to do?
So I come to feeling, I don't know if I would say good, but I, feel mobile and functional at a very base level, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So I will very shakily kind of sit up and just try to take a better look around this room. Is LeBen still in here with me?
Dr. LeBend is probably no more than 15 feet away, currently sat behind a mobile place desk that was maybe taken from one of the education centers within the zoo, seemingly scribbling notes, filling out paperwork, studying a number of charts that he has in front of him, clearly engrossed in some type of academic labor.
Okay. If he's not paying much attention to me, can I just get better bearings on what is around me and where I am?
Make an effort to notice. Poppy, as Rose begins coming to, what is it you're looking to do?
I'm just looking to find her. So I'm navigating quickly. I'm not trying to necessarily be surreptitious or anything. I'm just trying to find where she is. I imagine I have some loose idea based on where our paths might have diverged. I'm just trying to find where she might be.
A temporary prop-up medical center that seems specifically allocated for something in the vein of emergency triage, not that far away, especially since a lot of the ARC structures are concentrated. As you navigate out of the office, providing yourself a little bit more of an opportunity to take in some of your immediate surroundings, we'll say. Slightly to the northeast of your position, you see a rather large amphitheater, a central structure that seemed to house some kind of entertainment function. The row of tents where these medical facilities seem to be established line a number of pens that seem to display signs that suggest they were once home to a zebra enclosure, some type of Serengeti wildlife collection, though no animals roam through there now.
There's an 11 on that notice.
Okay. I am going to whisper to Rose, but upon the completion of her search, you would ultimately see Rose perhaps a little shaky still, not entirely herself, looking to move towards the edge of the bed after having done a very small and meandering search through some of the immediate area.
I'm going straight to the bed.
Dr. LeBen does not seem to respond or address either of you during the change or transition.
Are you okay? I'm just gonna, 2 hands on her shoulders, give her like a once over. Are you okay? How are you feeling?
Not amazing, but better than an hour ago, I guess.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of look back towards Lipend. lower my voice. Can you move?
Yeah, I think so. And I'll just kind of like, stretch out a little bit. I might slide off of the bed if I can. Just holding on to Poppy's arms for support, but
yeah. I'm just gonna kind of
After
prop her up to see how she can hold.
Okay. After a brief moment, you hear the hard-soled boots of Director Morozic before she appears in the doorway to the medical tent, peering in, doing a bit of a purposefully callous and seemingly unnecessary knock that is followed by her quickly letting herself into the space. Ah. And how are you feeling now after some much-needed concerns have been addressed?
functional.
Wonderful. And, Poppy, how are you faring? Does everything seem to meet your standards and expectations?
For now. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, I've informed the proper personnel that we should be expecting company, and there shouldn't be any issues. And as she's talking, Leben stands up aggressively. Director Morozic, I have a rather important determination I'd like to declare. In an official capacity, it seems as if Miss Montgomery's body is currently creating enzymes that are combating exorcitum variants. I believe this candidate from Rescue Station Delta has been a success, Director. And you see Abigail kind of tuck a clipboard up against her chest and sort of stare at you for a brief moment, Poppy. You hear that? Rose. You're far more important than I ever could have imagined. Both of you apparently proving vital assets in a variety of ways. I'm sure you don't feel it right now, Rose, but you will be the beginning of the end of all of this chaos. Poppy, it seems your matching genetics will provide you a great opportunity for heroism as well. This is most splendid news. Once we've dispatched with our guests, perhaps we'll have cause to celebrate. Are you all right, Rose?
I'm just a little surprised, I guess.
Oh, well, apologies. I didn't mean to compound your already arduous trials with such impactful news. Perhaps some more time in the medical facilities resting will do you some good. What do you think, Poppy? Would that be agreeable? Hmm? Well, Rose.
Yeah?
We'll be looking to relocate you, hopefully in the near future. But for the time being, just focus on rest.
Okay.
I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you.
Yeah, I guess it's a miracle I made it this far with no discernible skills.
Miracle. No discernible skills? Who would say such a thing? Nonsense. Leben takes a half step back. It was me who declared Rose devoid of skills, Director. Thank you, Doctor. Well, let's hope that was the tail end of our doctor being terribly wrong. I would hate for him to run out of uses for himself. In any event, I have a number of things that I need to tend to, and there is a number...
What's going on?
Would you excuse me? I have a matter I need to attend to. Doctor, please stay... Well, stay here. And you see Abigail turn and begin to leave out from the med bay as she segues quickly before eventually getting onto heel and foot. As this is taking place, David, you are in the back of a armored vehicle. Bastion in the front seat. Paz and Kesh sat looking directly across one another as you see Bastion begin to slam the gas as hard as it will go before beginning to barrel towards the front entrance. A large iron gate crested with a threshold seemingly comprised of two large flamingos with their necks intertwined over top, ultimately not providing much of a definitive barricade for the weight, mass, and speed of the vehicle. As the armored vehicle crashes through the front gate, you begin taking small arms fire from some of the stations surrounding individuals. Kesh begins to stand up as you see the entire front windshield begin to splinter and spiderweb out, stopping the small arms fire, but ultimately clearly taking significant structural damage. Kesh stands up and looks to you. Here, take this. Hands you a small radio from the side of his hip. I'm going for Abigail. I'm gonna end this. Find your wife. Get her out. Pause! Bastion, with David! Bastion begins to kind of shamble around, squeezing through the divide in between, kind of shimmying with his riot shield in between the gap of the front cab and the back box. Pause, immediately readjusting some of the medical equipment directly on her belt. Kesh staring at the back door. On your move, David.
All right. Just gonna like do one of those like little like just like peek outs really quick, just to like try to get a lay of the land out there without getting shot. I'm gonna say make an effort to notice in a very desperate situation. Yeah, that tracks. Six.
So as you ultimately open the door just a touch, able to poke your head out right as a hail of gunfire seems to skim by the edge of the vehicle, there is clearly a massive militia that is adjacent to the side of the vehicle. It seems almost as if Bastion has purposefully rolled the car into position where one side is likely to take most of the fire and the other side seems clear. The front windows in the driver's cab are almost completely opaque white as you see the splintering of the ballistic resistant glass now beginning to sort of cave and crumble under the impact of such gunfire. But you do have one safe avenue opposite the direction of the incoming force. What would you like to do?
So, all right. So my thought here is, in like a very strategic moment, I'm gonna take the first of the two rocket launchers that I have, and I want to pop around in such a safe way where they may not see it coming. But I want to fire something that's going to have maximum effect to either slow the advance of these oncoming forces, or perhaps destroy something above them and or near them that will do as much damage as possible.
I would like for you to make an effort to be accurate. Sensing your approach and desired impact and intent, Kesh is actually going to step just slightly in front of you and is looking to lay down cover fire to provide an opportunity. I will provide this to you well prepared, providing you an opportunity to take a clean and clear shot.
Well, I have just rolled max on both of those, so that is, with my concussion, a 15.
So as this fire continues to ring out, peppering the side of the vehicle, some of the exterior plating now showing the interior indentation of numerous ballistic impacts. The glass more or less tumbling, bullets free flying through the front of the cabin at this point. Kesh notices a brief window of pause. Now! Jumps out the back of the vehicle, landing on the ground, and begins opening machine gun fire in that direction, providing you an opportunity to step out, line up your shot, and directly behind probably what at one point in time was a rather large train that would take small tours through the zoo. This massive explosion detonates the entirety of the midsection of this train, and a raining hellscape of viscera and parts begin falling down in the surrounding area. There's almost a brief moment of quiet. And then another gunshot immediately following up, letting you know there are still people in the fight, but a devastating blow as over a dozen individuals clearly devastated in the blink of an eye without ever having seen it coming. Kesh immediately turns, runs, and begins to move towards cover. Pause, almost grabbing directly onto his back, a small tactical ring that her grip is tight on as they continue to move towards a administrative building somewhere in the immediate entryway before you start hearing more gunfire begin to return your direction. What would you like to do, David?
I'm just gonna turn to Bastion, who's here beside me, and say, so I've never been to the zoo here before. Where are we going?
I'm partial to the lions. Did you have an interest, or are we just gonna like do the gunfight thing first?
No, I'm asking, like, where do I go to find my wife?
I think they have all of the survivors held down into the elephant enclosure. It's a deeper pit. We'll have to move through some of the buildings to actually get in and get her out, but that should be the way to go. You want to use that last rocket?
I sure can, or we could save it for a desperate moment. What do you think makes the most tactical sense here? I am not trained in the art of war.
Get small. Stay behind my shield. Let's back up to cover. And
okay.
He throws the ballistic shield in front of him, sort of slides one of his forearms directly through it, slams it onto the ground as he dives out and lands behind me, and begins slowly moving backwards. I'm going to say, based on the nature of your movement and the need to be very coordinated in your departure, go ahead and make an effort to be graceful here for me, please, David.
Sure. That is 7.
7. So slowly but surely, through a careful and methodical plotting pace, you begin to see Bastion's riot shield begin to become opaque with those same spider webs that previously devastated the front windshield of the armored vehicle. However, as you continue to recede back towards the cover point, Kesh and Paws, almost in concert, grab and rip both you and Bastion out of the line of fire, bringing you behind a brick structure and quickly segueing in through some kind of metal fire door that sees you in an administrative building, some kind of tourist question answer center, something to that effect, providing you a brief opportunity to quickly regroup as the building now becomes the target and focus fire. However, you find yourself seemingly more reinforced and significantly less exposed.
I've just remembered in this exact moment, I also have a grenade if we have any use for that.
Yeah. Pretty sure we'll have plenty of opportunity to blow all kinds of things up.
Excellent.
Good shot,
am
David.
A big fan. Hey, thanks. You know, it was my first time, and I pointed it the right direction, so I'm pretty proud of myself.
You're a natural. Yeah, more of that. Bastion, make sure you get him and his wife out of here alive. Pause. When he does something stupid, make sure they're patched up and he gets out of here alive as well. All right. I've got a date with an old director. Keep that walkie on you. Once you've seen your way clear of the zoo, let me know. I'll let you know we're gonna rendezvous and meet up.
All right, sounds good. Good luck.
Now it's time. And he jumps up and opens the door, letting a spray of gunfire out, immediately felling a legionnaire that was pounding on the metal fire door, seemingly disappearing as he is segueing forward, looking to move north through the zoo. A massive blast of gunfire seeming to follow his departure. Return fire, clearly there in kind. But Kesh disappearing from view and leaving you in place with Paws and Bastion. Julius.
So,
you are a block away. Through Gemini's suggested instruction, you begin navigating slightly east of the zoo. She has a very casual and calm pace and demeanor, and as you see this gated periphery of the zoo directly in front of you, this sort of side exterior with no main access point, no road, nothing that seems to constitute or suggest a main entrance. She stops and turns around. All right. So, what do you think is the best approach? I like going in silent, but if you have something else in mind that you think is going to be more effective.
Silent is probably the best. There's enough noise going on right now that we can probably just slip right in underneath their gaze.
Yeah, okay. Do you have a blade, something that can kill quietly?
I unfortunately do not. All they gave me was this.
Well, I hear they train you to be killers with your bare hands or something, right?
It's like a deadly dance.
That's hot. All right. And she turns and begins to walk towards the periphery of the gate, looking to maneuver and traverse this expansive, sort of empty lot into this service area that would bring you up this hillside berm that would allow you otherwise non-commercial access to the zoo itself. As you are moving and navigating across, you see her sort of flicking her hand in this rhythmic measure, and each time she does so, probably every half a dozen or so feet, a new copy and version seems to walk and traipse probably about 15 or 20 feet away before you see it fizzle and dissolve out. Some kind of general test to see how overt you can be without notice, though her actual form, the one you can readily identify, seems to be very careful, stealthy, and surreptitious. I'm going to say, go ahead and make an effort to be graceful for me, please, Julius.
8.
Okay. So both of you, soft on your feet, perhaps for different reasons. Eventually find yourself navigating across the open expanse of the zoo exterior when you hear this rather large explosion somewhere off in the distance near the entryway. Gemini stops and turns around. That's our signal. And begins moving up towards the gate itself, quickly peering through the bars. Julius, please make an effort to notice as you approach the periphery.
A little distracted, only a 3.
So you do see a small clutch of 3 ARC operatives, some kind of security agents, standing in a positioned huddle, guns all pointed, aiming that direction. A quick and hushed conversation takes place between them before you see one begin to navigate towards the front entrance. Gemini quickly turns around. I'll take the one on the left. You take the one on the right. And she begins to climb and scale this iron fence into the zoo interior. What would you like to do, Julius?
Oh. All right. Is there like a large, like a good, like hand-sized rock or something I can pick up and like maybe sneak up on him and whack him across the back of the head like they do in the movies?
It is significantly overgrown due to significant lack of maintenance, but the area itself is actually pretty manicured. There is not much in the way of extraneous rubble. Make an effort to notice.
Oh, wait, actually, isn't there a thing that they do? Pistol whipping. Yes, I will pistol whip him.
Okay, to get up over the fence itself, I'll need you to make a effort to utilize your physique or your fitness. I will provide you either.
All right, stage climb. Got it. That's a 4.
Okay. So as you see Gemini begin to move up, climbing gracefully across the bars, waist folded over the top, right in between the 2 spires that would otherwise prevent piercing defenses to being scaled. Numerous holograms of her form seem to bleed through the bars, walking forward casually in her stead as you see her land in this sort of crunched quasi-superhero landing stance as she begins to stealthily move towards the collection of individuals. You are able to scale this fence. It doesn't seem to be particularly high or challenging in that regard, though you definitely do not look cool. And at the absolute apex, one of the points, due to your lack of definitive prowess in getting over it, provides a small challenge. Roll a d4 for me, please, Julius.
The 2.
So as you go to emulate the maneuvering, that you just witnessed from Gemini, you see one of these security barbs from the tall wrought iron penetrate directly above the muscle of the abdomen. Not particularly deep as you're able to sustain and catch yourself, but certainly a stab wound that goes in a couple inches from this untreated iron. I'm going to ask you to make an effort to harness your grit as you see Gemini sneaking into position to avoid yelping out.
It's a 6.
Okay. So as the gravitas of the dramatic moment begins to well up in your throat, you are able to hold on to that. Use that energy for another scene and unrest yourself from the barb before, again, a little bit clumsily, sort of finally finding yourself on the other side of the fence, able to move forward. Now on a more even plane and footing, make an effort to be graceful as you try to match Gemini's approach on your otherwise unawares targets.
11.
Okay. Maneuvering to a delicate dance of all fours before segueing back to a more fawn-like ballet, there is a concert of movement. Whereas Gemini's pace is slow and measured, your elaborate dance does not seem to draw attention due to the silence of your steps, and you find yourselves generally within range as you see these holograms immediately appear on the opposite side. Both of them, this pair of mostly corporeal twins, wave and say hi in unison out loud. Hi! Causing both of the operatives to quickly turn, and in so doing, immediately opening fire on both of these duplicates that you see shatter and shake in this prismatic spray of holographic anomalies. In that brief moment, you see Gemini rush forward, digging both blades into the trap muscle of the target, seemingly looking to have them meet in the center, providing you a very brief window of opportunity. What would you like to do, Julius?
Oh, okay. It's just like being on stage. Just, I would like to just kind of go up and, just like when I was in that production of Les Mis, and just kind of go and kind of swing the gun around and try to take it across the back of his head to incapacitate him in kind of a spin.
I'll say, based on the distraction and element of surprise, we'll have you be well prepared. Go ahead and make an effort to utilize your brawling.
Ooh, buddy. That's a 6.
Not bad, as you sort of line it up a couple times, almost kind of get a little bit of a gauge, trying to make sure it's measured up. You see Gemini kind of landing on the other operative that seems to fall immediately to the ground, and right as the operative begins to segue and switch to fire at Gemini's true form, this massive wallop along the backside of the head kind of sees them stunned for a brief moment before they turn around to look at you. And they kind of raise their gun up in your direction, and you see Gemini from behind immediately stab a knife directly into their back, their dazed state, unable to secure any kind of recognition on you as a target in the brief moment that they had. However, the zoo's structural integrity, in a general sense, weather, heat, exposure, not being maintained, a lot of the noise, both gunfire and explosions, has begun to draw Zerk from the nearby area as well. And while it would have been a much more ideal opportunity in advance, looking just slightly to the north, you see a tortoise habitat enclosure. A recessed sort of well for display. However, there's a creature in it. And you can't be sure how deep the pit itself would be, but a Zerk-like face, head, mannerisms all seem to be protruding up above the lip of this recessed viewing area. Seeming looking to follow you on your entry point to the gate, and clearly beginning to amass in other areas nearby, all drawn to the sound and chaos around you. What would you like to do next?
Okay, so thanks for the assist. Much appreciated. Always good to have another castmate on hand with you.
Yeah, you
yes.
trying to test me or something? Why didn't you just kill him? Are you one of those like life is precious guys or something?
You know, everybody deserves some kind of chance.
Like 50-50, or what do you mean?
I prefer to just incapacitate if I can avoid killing, I do. I mean, just because license to kill doesn't mean you have to kill. Yeah. So anyway, shall we proceed further? We have people to rescue and foes to vanquish.
Yeah, we got different training, clearly. Kesh has a special request for us.
What?
We're not part of the rest of the group. We need to make sure that we're able to get out of here safely. Getting in isn't the hard part, Julius. Or whatever your name is. Our job is to make sure that they can get out. We need to get rid of their leadership. We're here to find Crow. And she turns and begins to walk north, up towards the tortoise pit.
All right. Crow. Big giant, very mean, shot Rose. Yeah, okay, we've got this.
Yeah, so you know him. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah,
Hurry up. And as you begin to approach the recessed tortoise pit, you see, in fact, probably just shy of about 10 or so feet tall, the elongated, distended form of a enclosed Xercules inside the tortoise pit. Doesn't seem active. It seems rather docile and still for the moment, actually. But there is certainly a reasonably familiar form from the large and lumbering Zerk that you'd seen around the scattered area within your safety of New Eden, but never this close before.
I think that's the Rancor pit.
It's asleep or something? I don't know. They're all dumb anyway. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Let's just do what we came here to do. We'll get the fuck out of here, right? How many successful missions have you run? It's got to be a lot.
I've got at least a good 12, 13 productions under my belt.
Look, you stood out to me as being extremely weak at first. Surprisingly so, actually. I thought for sure you wouldn't be able to throw a punch, fire a gun, do anything. But now I get your approach. Look, I have something special I've been hanging on to. It was supposed to amplify my existing suit, but it'll work in a limited capacity. You looking for something a little more high-end, Julius?
What do you mean by high-end?
She opens up this extremely long, almost tube-like pouch on the front that has a large flat flap over it and pulls out something that almost looks like a VHS tape sized sort of flat box. Rips off the back piece of it, kind of touches the back. There's this hard tack that seems sticky to it. She quickly lifts your shirt, sticks it to the front of your stomach, and carefully goes about redressing some of your clothing around it. I think that'll work. Give it a try.
What am I trying? This is not a stage bank.
She reaches towards your stomach and gives it a quick poke, and you see a copy of yourself immediately projected directly in front of you.
That is sexy.
Probably about 10-second delays is all you're likely to be able to muster with it, so you won't be able to use it for very long bursts. And I think you'll probably only get 30 or so feet out of it, and the battery life's going to be short, but in a pinch, if you need to throw someone out, it'll do the job.
It's much appreciated. Ah, I got my own
Let's go.
understudy.
Hesitantly moving forward, seemingly carrying on with the mission at hand. As MI6 agent Julius and operative Gemini begin making their way through the east gate, operative Kesh working his way through the interior of the zoo somewhere, and Bastion, Pause, and survivor David currently held up in guest services waiting to make their next move. Poppy and Rose, what would you like to do?
As soon as she leaves, I'm trying to get an arm under around Poppy to give her some support. Right. I'm gonna start moving towards the door. I'm not
Okay.
even addressing Lebed right now.
As you look outside, you see from the collapsed gate that you can see at some distance, there is Zerk slowly shambling into the front entrance of the zoo behind our survivors' entry point. A series of Ark militia and legionnaires currently trying to return fire at a vehicle that seems to have nobody in it, as well as a structural building. And from somewhere nearby, probably just slightly out of view, the survivor return fire of Bastion, Pause, and David looking to put up a fight in their current defensive location. However, before you can necessarily get in a great detail of your surroundings, you hear from behind you, it is important for the resources provided that you find me a safe passage out of here. I highly advise that you assist in my extrication from the building.
I'm not at all listening, but I am going to carefully kind of dislodge myself from Poppy's arms and give her hand a squeeze. And I'm going to start looking around for my raccoon real quick. If it's in this room.
You do not see any of your personal belongings or items that were set aside, other than the items that you were able to locate earlier based on your exploration before Poppy's initial arrival.
Okay.
The area is largely considered to be designated as medical equipment, treatments, bandages, things of that nature.
Okay. Okay.
I must get out of here. Please, let's be gone from this place.
Shut up. Shut up. Ugh. And I'm gonna see if I can go grab the stuff that I've spotted.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll say while she's doing that, I'm gonna start trying to. I want to move away from the chaos. I don't care about what's going on. I need to get us out. So I'm gonna look in the opposite direction, see if I can pinpoint a path that's going to minimize encounters, but also maybe still get us out.
Okay.
Of
So
the zoo.
make an effort to notice for me, please.
Oh, that's a terrifying. That's a 3.
Okay. Generally speaking, you know that the chaos is largely centered east and south of you. Quick and expedited pacing northwest is the best you can make. Generally in that direction, a old guerrilla enclosure, seemingly designated as some kind of indoor touring experience with some outdoor exposed elements. potentially providing you an avenue to navigate safely.
Okay.
I am grabbing those. I'm trying to grab, even if I see some basic medical supplies, things like that. Also, whatever LeBend was doing at this desk, I'm going to grab that too.
Don't touch that. That is my research. I need you to make sure. And he kind of like goes to push and smash it back down on the desk, not providing you immediate grip on it. I think it is best we leave right away. None of this information is currently authorized to be removed. ARC authorization and recovery can be sought after our departure. Let us go, please.
You're not coming with us.
As I had previously stated, the metabolized antibodies for the virus are within you, Rose. I am one of the few people able to manifest agent that would function as a cure. I highly advise you reconsider.
Get out of the way. I'm gonna try to push past him and get the papers.
And he's not particularly tough, not particularly resistant. You see him kind of almost bounce along the edge of the interior wall, unable to stabilize. And as he kind of sits there sort of in this shocked moment of stun, you see him kind of quickly adjusting his lab coat, this still meticulous white cleanliness associated with it, before reaching inside. Well, I'm afraid I will have no choice, and pulls out this small caliber pistol and points it at you, Poppy. I again invite you to reconsider your treacherous and most untoward course of action, lest I have to resort to applying violence and coercion.
I'm gonna half glance over my shoulder. I've stopped shuffling papers. My hands are still on them. You really think you're gonna get out of here alive without me? Without us?
Miss Montgomery, please do not misunderstand. I wish to cause no complications for you. I simply seek to complete my research to the benefit of all. Perhaps we can have a more stable understanding. I would recommend we get out of here now, please.
I'm just gonna lock eyes with Poppy and kind of step away slightly, and like back off to the side, like kind of towards the door to a degree, but trying to like move around the two of them.
As you reach that proximity, Rose, you begin to hear the sound of growing Zerk, a flood of them having moved into the interior entrance of the zoo. It seems as if there is a broad dispersal as the gunfire in response to their entry seems to also be getting denser and denser in some of your immediate surrounding environment.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
As soon as I think I have a chance, I'm going to grab one of the syringes that I picked up, and I'm gonna jam it in the back of his neck.
Okay.
If I see her move, I will shift slightly just to position myself so I can keep an eye, because I was facing away initially.
I'm gonna say make an effort to utilize your first aid or your accuracy.
Okay. 13 for first aid.
Okay. So as you see LeBen's hand very unsteadily and slowly beginning to trace Poppy's movements, maybe not super tactically aware or savvy of his surroundings. You are able to segue into position, providing a quick jab in the neck. Not immediately acting, though wildly effective. You see Leben recoil for a brief moment. There is a hesitation in his eyes as you see the clouds begin to form, but he pulls the trigger as the gun is pointed in Poppy's direction. Poppy, please roll a d4 for me.
It's a 1.
Okay. As Leben's form collapses onto a nearby shelf and the shot rings out, Rose, you see blood begin to emerge from the side of Poppy's shirt. And as you instinctively go to cover the wound, a small hole in the edge of your shirt reveals a rather lucky and minor flesh wound alongside your abdomen. A definitive sting, and certainly something that you don't want to run the risk of repeating, but superficial damage that otherwise is simply going to hinder your comfort for whatever may yet come. But a brief moment later, Leben drops the pistol and begins leaning, standing straight upright. The paralytic agent now coursing through his system, the anesthesic effect taking hold as Leben's body seems to become stiff as a board, leaning up against some of the documentation shelves in the medical tent.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna pick up the gun. It's mine now.
We have to go now. We have to go right now.
I know.
Grab those. I'm gonna grab whatever papers Poppy didn't grab.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the gun. And then now that I'm a little shot, I don't know how much support we're just gonna kind of support each other.
We'll figure it out.
We're gonna go away from the Zerky sounds now that are getting closer, and we're, I guess, northwest.
The sound of the gunshot drawing some of the nearby Zerk directly towards the front door of this sort of makeshift medical tent.
Yeah.
A small flood of them beginning to aggressively move and come into the enclosed space, providing you probably only one reasonable avenue of expedited departure towards the opposite end. You, on your segue out, you kind of just hear this as Dr. Leben seems paralyzed and frozen directly up against the interior bookshelves.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to start hustling in the opposite direction with Poppy, trying to make sure that she's moving, and I'll turn back to Leben. Thank you for all your help. Your lack of skills are no longer required. And I'm gonna take off.
You see his eyes darting around rapidly, this doomed sense of realization as it seems as if his body is almost perfectly still, with the exception of some of the extremely fine twitching of fingertips and eye muscles that are darting around as you turn to leave. And only a few moments later, a massive thrum of Zerk cries and screams, followed by jostling and the clear takedown of some type of larger form within the medical tent.
Just take off.
David, as you are secured inside the Tourist Welcome Center, Bastion turns to you as you're continuing to take some immediate fire from the periphery around you. Right. Slightly to the northwest is the elephant enclosure, and oh shit, Gemini, where are you? Pause. Stay with David. Shit. I'll be right back. I won't be back. Keep your radio on. Fuck. And turns and begins to push towards the exterior door. The same one that Kesh left out moments ago and now seems to be disappearing into space. You and Pause yet remain inside, overwhelmed by gunfire and Zerk. Pause kind of looks at you. Just give her 1 second. How are you doing, David? Are you feeling all right?
Yeah, you know, I'm good. Never better.
Yeah?
Just,
Have you eaten recently? You look a little pale.
You know, it's probably been 12 hours.
Oh,
Didn't really sleep.
sleep deprivation is very dangerous, David. Especially when dealing with firearms. You should try to avoid it wherever possible.
You know, I will make that recommendation the next time we're planning a emergency operation to try to break people out of the zoo.
It is advisable, yes.
Great.
And you see this red light alongside her earpiece pop up for a brief moment. A small little ping can be heard. Up! She's here. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Is Bastion coming back, or?
He is, what do you say, a rolling stone? Yes, Glitch, we are ready whenever you are, if you don't mind. We have, there's upwards of a dozen. Could you, maybe? Thank you, sweetheart. And about a moment later, there's this rapid gunfire that seems to rain out from the nearby surrounding area. This massive collection of distended explosions going off in the distance. Thank you. Okay. And Pause gets up and begins navigating to the metal fire door. As she opens it up, you see the hovering drone of Glitch currently maneuvering in place. Gives the barrel a little high five and, ooh, still hot. I have to treat that burn later, David. Okay, let's go. And now kind of casually walking out, there's this sort of soft slow motion rain of debris of the entire collection of cover that they were using basically disappeared from some kind of explosive fire and massive caliber bullet shells that seem to have ripped through the cover. But for the moment, your movement through the area, aside from the Zerk, has been covered. What are you looking to do, David?
Well, I think we'll probably try to make our way towards the elephant enclosure. I'm going to, it seems like the large volume of threats has been eliminated. I'll put the rocket launcher, the remaining one, kind of try to sling it over my shoulder if there's a way for me to do that with a strap, and pull out my shotgun as my primary weapon at the moment as I kind of move forward. But hoping to engage with opponents maybe on a more of a one-to-one basis than a one-to-many.
Sure. Okay. As you begin navigating towards the structural entryway to the elephant enclosure, which otherwise is a kind of large and open pit, you can see there does appear to be something in the way of a gathering. Please make an effort to notice for me, please.
Yeah, sure. 6.
Within the interior of this display, there are large geometric, almost artistic representations of trees, large collections of what would have been probably feeding troughs or some type of amassed collection to store water or something for the elephants that now is entirely dry and removed. But otherwise has a rather large collection, probably upwards of 24 survivors on a large cement plateau, all kind of huddled together as you see Zerk beginning to spill over the railing into the elephant enclosure from more or less many of its points of viewing.
And there are people inside the elephant enclosure that we're trying to protect right now, yeah?
That would you don't immediately recognize anybody at a distance. You're probably still a good 150 plus feet from being able to kind of readily identify exact features, but otherwise these appear to be entirely humanoid, and due to their forms and movement are both scared and huddling together in the enclosure.
Sure. Can I get like just like a rough approximate head count as to how many Zerk are going to be a problem here? Like, is it a level of like just a handful or like 10?
About a dozen have just spilled over.
Okay. All right. Is there like an approximate number of like feet or distance that it is this close enough that I could hit them with, say, a baseball if I threw it hard enough, hypothetically?
Some of the closer ones, but the number is likely to only grow as seconds tick by.
Sure. Okay. All right. I'm gonna turn to pause and say, get them out, and I'm gonna pull the rocket launcher off of my shoulder, and I'm gonna try to shoot kind of past where the Zerk are coming over the wall, in an attempt to, one, distract any Zerk that have not already gotten in, and then two, maybe cut off the path of anyone that are trying to get in.
Okay. Go ahead and make an effort to be accurate, please.
And I will make my well-prepared roll as well.
Yeah. We are hype.
That is, I can do math, I swear. 14.
So, as Paz looks at you, kind of confused for a brief moment, there is that second of hesitation where she sees you pull out the rocket launcher. David, ear protection! And kind of grabs you the side of your head as this rocket fires off, and you kind of see her face squinting. Oh, you're going to develop terrible tinnitus. Okay. And you see Paws beginning to navigate into the structure to try and enter the elephant pit without dropping down this 15-foot expanse, as this eruption sends Zerk parts flying, probably about a half dozen or so Zerk having already entered the elephant pit, devastated, leaving another half dozen or so still slowly meandering forward as Paws attempts to intervene. As part of this process, though, the Zerk begin to more or less zero in and head your direction, the sound of the propelled grenade as well as the explosion drawing a great deal of attention, including operatives. For the brief moment after the explosion takes place, there is a beat or two before you eventually hear a loud series of gunshots cast your direction. Make an effort to be graceful for me, please, David.
Yeah, sure. 6.
Okay.
Wait a minute. It's well prepared, so it's actually a 10.
Okay. So, navigating quickly, responding to the ricochet of gunfire off the ground directly in front of you, sees you navigating behind a hard structure. No opportunity for you to immediately take rounds. The Zerk that are pushing after you now splitting between you and the force firing rounds your direction, but you are slowly being enclosed by Zerk, and you have people eyeing you down with weapons across the way. What would you like to do?
So I'm gonna try to kind of strategically and carefully draw the Zerk attention, including the Zerk that have already dropped into the enclosure. I'm gonna like just take a pot shot with my shotgun down into the enclosure, see if I can distract some of them. Get them kind of look at me as I'm just kind of navigating around the outside of the enclosure, trying to move carefully in such a way as to basically lead them on a wild goose chase away from where the survivors are in there right now.
All right. And are you looking to go north within the zoo or east within the zoo?
I mean, frankly, whichever one seems to be the lesser threat in this moment, but let's say north if there's no significant difference.
Okay. The significant difference is the entry point where you first moved into the zoo is now a devastated wash of explosive remnants and both Zerk and survivors, some of them nearly interchangeable in some measure. There is a chaos field directly to the sort of southeast. Moving north, certainly a much safer option. Running along the elephant enclosure, firing off your shotgun, looking to try and draw attention. Make a effort to be accurate as you are on the move. I'm going to say include your well prepared, but also include a desperation in this circumstance.
Sure. That's a 7 total. Yeah, 7.
Okay. You are able to continue to thin some of the Zerk approaching the survivors down below as you see Paws kick the door open into the enclosure, the small structural segue that leads into the interior of the pit, emerging hands on a pistol looking to move towards securing some of the survivors. As soon as you see Paws moving into space, probably maybe 75 or so feet away, David, I've got some. I'll bring them out, try to find somewhere safe. And begins moving towards the survivors. Come, everyone, let's go. We're leaving.
I'll lure him back away from the exit and then circle back. And I'll just take off running.
Sure. David, make an effort to harness your grit for me, please.
Sure. Just pure grit?
Pure raw grit.
That is 5.
Okay. As you are moving through this space, you feel the sting before you hear the actual sound itself. This singular shot ring out. Roll a d4 for me, please.
It's a 1.
Okay. At some vague distance, a feminine form, this maroonish leather, unseasonably non-tactical footwear, lowering what appears to be a massive caliber long-distance rifle at one of these straight walkways. Sort of muscling it up to her shoulder as the edge of a sniper round rips through the side of your calf. Not enough to necessarily cause any significant damage, but due to the nature of the weapon, certainly slowing you down a touch. Ultimately not fatal, probably not even severe, but certainly a hindrance to your deftness and grace for the time being. I'm going to have you add an additional -1 hindrance to both of those, please. As you see what Rose and Poppy would know as Abigail Morozic begin to continue segueing out towards the northern exit of the zoo. As you are slowed and ultimately trying to make sure you're staying ahead of the pile, they're not particularly fast, some of them even recently blown up. But you're slowly losing blood, a little bit hurt, but are still mobile for the most part. However, following the single shot that you had previously heard sort of ring out moments after feeling the quick pinprick of the impact itself, you hear a familiar noise at this point, growingly so at least. An explosion from a distance nearby. Julius, as you and Gemini are navigating past the tortoise enclosure, Gemini is almost casually leaning over, kind of looking at the Xercules, the lack of motion, the unusual nature of its confinement before beginning to navigate forward and continuing to carry on with the search and overall coverage. Sending out a hologram that seems to dart forward. You see a pixelated box of light almost scatter as a large round can be heard ripping through the immediate vicinity somewhere. This collection of fire and impact now surrounding your form, but the actual hologram itself dissipating away. It seems as if somebody from a distance is looking your direction. What would you like to do?
I believe that someone has eyes on us, and we should probably keep moving very quickly to complete our task so that we can leave as soon as possible.
The Zerk coming up from directly behind you are gaining ground because they are not looking to be stealthy or cautious with their approach. And Gemini kind of turns to you now, pressed up against the very edge of this tortoise enclosure. What do you want to do? If there's a sniper out there, I don't want to... Kind of very carefully looking to almost poke her head up.
Okay, so the thing you do where you create duplicates and the thing you gave me that lets me create a duplicate for a short amount of time, what if we activate those to act as what they are, duplicates? We use them as body doubles and then we run the other way. I mean, I know they'll probably follow us. I think that's how that works afterwards, but still.
After about 10 seconds, yeah.
I mean, bob and
okay.
weave, zig and zag.
Hope you're light on your feet.
Unbelievably so. Almost as if I've had, I don't know, lots of dance training.
Whatever you call it, they have their tactics. You see her kind of adjust her position back directly up against the tortoise enclosure. On your go.
Oh.
You ready? And you see both of these holograms begin to push out into space immediately, followed by a loud gunfire that seems to be a direct follow-up as you see them veer off and perhaps provide at least a small window of opportunity, both you and Gemini looking to run in the moment. However, rather than utilizing any form of your fleet foot or spatial awareness, I'll need you to make an effort to endure.
The hype train's gone. Okay.
You didn't get a roll on it. We'll give you one roll on it.
I don't suppose I can bank that roll, can I?
Exploding offer.
That is a 12.
Fortunately, as the nearby explosion from the tortoise enclosure rings out, there is enough time, a certain amount of wherewithal, a small bit of luck that sees you clear of much of the debris that completely shatters and splinters much of the surrounding enclosure and completely decimates, almost creating this indented earth in one side of the enclosure itself. As you are getting up from hearing this persistent ringing that seems to corroborate the intensity of the brief moment, just shaking your head, trying to raise yourself from the ground, you hear this definitive sound from nearby. There is something big moving. And you begin to hear the loud footsteps of the Xercules slowly climbing out of the tortoise pit.
And Gemini.
Gemini has fallen unconscious next to you.
Fuck. Gemini, this is not the time. The Rancor's awake. I'm just gonna like kind of shake her and smack her face a little bit.
She did not immediately seem to respond. Make an effort to apply your first aid.
That's a -1.
No immediate response.
Is there a pulse, a heartbeat?
She appears to be alive. Some superficial damage, likely a concussion from the lack of responsiveness, and a little bit of a flushed swelling on the outside of her face.
Gemini always has gadgets on. Do they have like a canteen of water on them or something that can like splash on their face or?
Nothing but necessary tactical gear at the moment. And as you're sitting over Gemini's unconscious form, you hear these loud footsteps now emerging ground level, and turn to see at the pedestrian level this large Xercules crying out. The surrounding Zerk almost clawing at it, looking to climb it like a tree, this instinctual draw towards its screams. And it seems to take notice of you as it shifts its form, clicking before holding perfectly still for a brief moment again. And a loud scream as it begins to charge your direction.
So sorry, and I dart. I have to run. I have to.
Julius, roll a d4 for me, please.
Oh no. That's a 3.
So as you turn and begin to run, also please make an effort to utilize your physique or fitness. I'll provide you either.
A 5.
Okay. Turning to move quickly, you hear the footsteps begin to pick up as it is charging towards you. There is this decided sense of immediate danger behind you, and in the moment that you quickly turn back, there is this almost explosive eruption of holograms from Gemini's form, all taking these immediate defensive stances, some sort of default programming causing these duplicates to splinter off and run out. The range on them relatively limited. They're aggro, not enough to draw definitive attention, and you see all of them disappear in unison as the Zerk smashes directly over top of her in its pursuit, charging into you, decimating the functionality of the holographic machinery. The Xercules, faster and stronger by a significant margin, quickly covering ground on you,
I'd like to tap my
fleetful
stomach.
as your feet may be. What's that?
I would like to tap my stomach.
What are you looking to create a duplicate to do?
Be a distraction. Just, there's two of us. Which one do you go after? Not me.
So make an effort to apply your sociology, please.
Scheiße. So that's a 0.
Okay. So the illusion immediately goes out, begins doing jumping jack, hand signal, waving signs, trying to draw attention from the Xercules. It's not quite far enough away. It's not quite differentiated enough, and the Xercules almost seems to be kind of aiming towards this approximate middle between you two that doesn't provide this unique opportunity for you to get away. The hologram jumping and running towards it, causing it to sort of stutter and hesitate for a brief moment. The swipe, it seemed to be looking to rip across both of your forms, drawn off and otherwise currently stopped from reaching out to you in its entirety. But the Zerk is able to relatively quickly recenter and is looking to make a large pounce as you see its legs fold before taking a leap in your direction. What would you like to do?
God. It looks like it's about to leap towards my direction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I am fast enough to do this, but I'm guessing it has the ability to jump really high and really far. So once it starts to arc towards me and is in the air, is it possible for me to stop and run back underneath it and go the other way?
Make an effort to utilize your athletics, please.
6.
So as you see its form bend down in this animalistic, this bestial leap that looks to explode towards you, against all internal instinct, you begin charging forward and look to time this sliding run. The Xercules' size and power is immense. Its form and fluidity is significant. But your form is not bad in this instance either. A very close call to be sure, but aided when you hear "Mission and fucking possible!" And slamming into the side, you see Riot Shield first, Bastion, charging directly into the side of the Zerk. The Xercules, for the first time since you've seen it, lets out a small stumble as it tries to get up and begin to find its surroundings yet again. And you see Bastion holding the Riot Shield in one hand, kind of looking back. What are you doing? Stage is that way.
Oh. Yeah. Stage that way. Yeah. I should probably go make my curtain call.
Yep. North exit, Julius. I'll I got something to handle. And you see the Xercules begin to charge forward yet again as Bastion begins to sprint directly at it, almost providing this snowplow grip on the Riot Shield. The immediacy of their impact. Bastion, sizable, highly manipulatable, surprisingly athletic form, does provide a brief shim with this massive thrust of the Riot Shield that unfortunately simply isn't able to counter the momentum of such an immense creature. You see Bastion thrown up against the remaining portions of the tortoise enclosure before trying to scramble back to his feet. Go! You big bitch. And begins charging back towards the Xercules yet again. Julius, what would you like to do?
Start the backpedal and Bastion. Thank you.
Kind of holding onto his shield, looking to charge in once more as the Xercules resets its perspective. Yeah. We all got our own dance, Julius. Quick draws a pistol, begins firing off rounds, charging forward with the riot shield. And again, you see him this time at it away, flying across the ground, probably cast back 15 feet as the Xercules begins moving slower.
Can't look. I'm just going to run towards the stage where he told me.
You hear a series of additional gunfire ring out. The very obvious and heavy throws of the riot shield being slammed, shunted this desperate fight clearly ensuing behind you before this decided break. And somewhere off in the distance behind you, there is a brief calm, at least for a moment. The Xercules no longer acutely aware of your position or location. The horde, along with the Xercules itself, seemingly on the prowl for some type of consumable, some instinct drive, before you hear one of the final Xercules roars rip off in the distance as the heavy footfalls seem to dissipate away. In front of you, the Wildlife Theater. A stage that appears to have a large collection of supply caches, many of them labeled with ARC insignias. Make an effort to notice for me, please, Julius.
Seven.
You begin looking through them. There's ration material, some tent supplies. It seems like a number of quick encampment setup pieces. However, one seems to be labeled slightly differently. The ARC insignia, a large spray-painted smiley face almost presented directly over it. And instead of ARC, the letters glitch appear directly towards the bottom. As you open it up, this small, almost plate-size metal canister pops up on its own and literally begins to hover directly in front of you.
Jim and I would know what this is, but what?
A blue light comes out and scans you. And from the interior of the dome, you hear, "Oh, hey, Julius. It's Glitch. I guess our equipment got inside.
Yeah.
I can make sure you get where you're going. I just need coordinates. My baby boy will make sure you get there safe." And from the interior of this large disc, you see these small little piping barrel tubes pop out. Personal protection drone. High end as it gets. We'll get you there safe, Julius. Get moving. Where's Bastion? I'm not seeing his signal.
There was a really big one, and he saved
Do we have ground interference? Julius, what's going on?
Bastion's gone.
Gone where? I told you I don't have a lock on his signal.
He's gone. He saved my life.
North exit, Julius. Get moving. Go. And the small drone begins to hover directly over top of you.
I'm gonna run. What I'm good at.
Directly in front of you, there is an open expanse, largely devoid of any kind of immediate threats or zerk or mass considerations, but from probably just off to your right-hand side, you do hear this loud spray of bullets. And throwing a assault rifle directly in your pathway in front of you, you see this large, hulking, braided form. Dark black tank and a jean vest with patches on it as Crow steps out directly in front of you. Not looking to specifically impede your process, but certainly getting in your way. I don't need that. Where are you going?
Here.
Away? The fuck you think this is? And this large, almost yellowish style canister that he's still holding with one hand, like some kind of massive toolbox, you see as he puts it in front of himself, kind of. Not letting y'all fuck up anything else for me. And begins to take steps towards you as a large rescue saw is revved up.
I count as he takes steps towards me. And as he gets to step number 9, I'll look him in the eyes, aim no higher, summon all the courage I require. And at that 10th pace, go to fucking fire. Just unload everything that I have with all of my rage and fear and pain. And fuck him and everything he brought onto my home.
Make an effort to be accurate, Julius.
Or
I will roll for the drone. And as you see Crow moving towards you, roll a d4 for me, please, Julius.
1.
Okay. So your rage and anger providing a small shake in your aim, though Crow's form is slowly limping towards you, seemingly suffering some damage from recent encounter. Raising the saw high up above his head, the first of your shots to strike true is directly in the thigh that sees him staggered for a brief moment. Still trying to aim, but with more than enough shots, and Crow seemingly unarmed, and in this instance, maybe not as accurate as he ought to be, begins trying to cut into the ground as he's using it to raise himself up before another shot in the leg seems to put him down. The drone that is hovering directly above you stops. A small blue light turns around, almost as if the drone itself is facing you. You again hear Glitch's voice. Don't worry about it, Julius. We all have long days. And as Crow staggers to get back to his feet, the drone kind of drifts across and sort of gently lands and sets itself down on the top of his head as he's kind of getting up, and you hear this single shot before Crow begins to slowly fall forward. The small drone comes back again, the radioed voice. Northgate, Julius. You'll find my main coverage there. I have eyes on you all the way.
As I hear that, I'm just gonna slowly start to walk past Crow's crumpling form and just whisper, "Insane." And just do a skip and then start to run again.
The Zerk slowly beginning to fill into the theater behind you. The circumstantial show setting its curtain in a manner of sorts as Glitch's protective drone begins to hover and keep pace with you as you move towards the north exit, no longer impeded by ARC operatives or Zerk from the opposite end. David, as you hear the explosions, gunfire, the traveling mess and hail of chaos that is taking place near you, your leg, an obnoxious and tedious wound to be sure, but nothing that would cause any massive problem for the time being. You're able to eventually make your way basically around the back of where some of the leopard enclosures would be, navigating past the theater, trying to create open areas, looking to swing back around in the very designated and aesthetically desert Aussie setting where some of the Australian animals would have been housed and showcased. And despite these explosions and gunshots, you've covered ground and gotten away from the Zerk that were chasing you down behind you. Found yourself free and clear of immediate threats, so it would seem, save for as you look to move back towards the front of the zoo itself, a rather large, towering Zerk, a swarm of smaller Zerk just above the height of its waist, seemingly on this rampant patrol towards the northern section from somewhere near the tortoise enclosure between you and it at this point. What would you like to do?
Is there anywhere where I could feasibly hide from both the line of sight and also potentially a future explosion that might happen?
Sure. Make an effort to be graceful, hiding both from the Xercules and the impending horde.
Excellent. That's right, -2, 5. And my plan is to stay here and wait out until they get probably about 20 feet away from me. All the while, I will have my single grenade in hand. And once they get close enough where I can just kind of roll it around this cover that I'm hiding behind, I'm just going to roll my grenade on the ground and attempt to get rid of the big guy and as many little guys as possible without alerting them to my actual presence.
Okay. So as you remain hidden and tucked away, trying to listen to the footsteps, some type of indicator providing you at least a modicum of awareness, you definitely begin to hear the heavy footfalls. And as you hear them draw closer and closer, you find that the time is now. Reaching out, looking to throw the grenade into position. David, please make an effort to be accurate.
Yeah, gladly. That is a 6.
Okay. Your generalized toss only needed to be close enough, though almost as you begin to peer around the corner, the Xercules is already in the process of letting out this guttural roar. As you feel the grenade leave your hand, the Xercules already facing your direction, its senses of awareness or tracking in some capacity having noticed something perhaps amiss, though not able to pinpoint. But as it sees you throw the grenade, it begins to run in this vast sprint, crushing a pair of zombies underneath its feet as it charges your direction. Seeing you quickly turn behind the corner, the large detonation and explosion directly behind the coverage of your original concealment sees a brief quiet. Another roar as you actually see protruding past the edge of your coverage the claws of this Xercules pushing itself forward by its hands alone as portions of its lower body are devastated and missing.
I would like to apply the old shotgun to the face method.
Make an effort to be accurate.
All right, I'll just kind of start backing away, but facing it as I take my steps back, and that is an 8.
Okay. As you quickly line up your shot, pull the trigger, letting the shotgun round go from a Xercules that is ultimately pretty close to you. As it rounds the corner, this massive blast cuts into the side of its face that sees it slump. Its shoulder and some of its side lateral muscles almost kind of twitching responsively as some of these surrounding Zerk seem to be filing in directly behind it from this initial wave that was devastated from the explosion. What are you doing right away?
So, am I to understand that the Xercules is no longer an active threat, or is it still an active threat?
I would probably never say it is not, but that is up to you to determine.
Sure. Okay. All right. I think in this moment, I will turn and try to put as much distance between myself and the remaining Zerk as possible. But then as I do, as I have moments, I'm actually going to just pull out my sidearm that I believe this is still the sidearm that I collected from Hodge. And I'm going to turn and try to just pick off Zerk as I have moments to like round the corner, take out one or two, run a little farther, take out one or two, trying to just kind of use one of those like Call of Duty zombie strategies where you just kite them around the map.
Okay. As you stop and look over the form of the fallen Xercules, taking a quick step back, addressing the new threats immediately around you and beginning to run and try and execute and take out some of them, you again hear the devastating roar. Xercules continuing to claw, using the side of one hand and the fingers of another that seem to dig into the concrete and splitting the pavement itself as it muscles its way towards you. Due to your current lack of immediate or devastating injury, you are relatively mobile. You were able to create enough distance where its temporary incapacitation did not provide it an opportunity to take a swipe. And at this point, generally speaking, could probably outrun it as it's more or less dragging itself along. As it continues to push towards you, you hear your walkie key up. David. Gwen Parker Jones? Out. Safe. Meet us at front.
Thank you. I'll be there in a minute. I would like to let this thing get just close enough that I can have one last steady shot at the head of the Xercules before it gets me, just to make sure
Okay.
that threat doesn't ever come back.
Make an effort to be accurate.
Gladly. That's a 7.
And in between this mess of shambling Zerk that are charging forward your direction, waiting for the perfect alignment of silhouettes to create a small gap, there is this hesitant moment where you see its form rearing up again to lay its next claw to propel itself yet forward, and a single shot ringing out sees it disappear into the growing mass of Zerk, not to rip through their form, providing you perhaps just enough time to savor a temporary success before turning to hightail it towards the front of the zoo.
Yeah, and I'll just, at this point, look to outrun them and maybe lose them by like running around some slightly out of the way enclosures to give myself a little extra space and perhaps break line of sight.
Sure. Poppy and Rose. As you begin to navigate up the sort of western edge, the opposite end of the zoo, at this point, gunfire and distractions have seen the interior portion of the elephant pit almost collapsed in on itself, and now no Zerk yet remain. No immediate surroundings that suggest that there is almost anything now going on at this side, and for the first time in a short while, a very brief window that lacks massive explosions or gunfire seems to stand out to you as a window of opportunity to continue moving forward. What would you like to do?
Trying to get as few eyes as possible. We have a gun now. I will keep an eye out for if we happen to cross. I don't think there's been a lot of havoc ahead of us, and we'll be looking to avoid most of it, but I will keep an eye out for anybody that's fallen that we could scavenge some more stuff.
Okay. Poppy, make an effort to notice, please. Rose, what would you like to do?
I'm just sticking close to Poppy. I'll also try to keep eyes peeled for something we can use, because I am not feeling very confident without my raccoon. And also, I'm trying to make sure that we are not... I'm trying to keep eyes peeled for other... like the Kesh and the crew, Bastion, anybody that we see that looks familiar that might be near us.
Okay. And Operative Poppy, what was your effort to notice?
Just a 3. Unless I also get a carryover for one.
Not at this point. Oh no. So, as you make your way through the original guerrilla enclosure where you saw some of the ARC personnel moving through pauses, movement, and extraction, Kesh seemingly having been through this area as well, looking to push up past where there is a collection of blood on one of the walkways, like somebody was shot and kept moving but didn't fall to a horde, and now this entire left section of the zoo is almost devoid of any immediate contact. As you do move towards the very northern edge of the zoo, at the very edge of the orangutan enclosure, some large black nets provide just a slight obscurement from the perimeter beyond, but 2 ARC security force guards, seemingly, one bent down, hunched over a raccoon backpack, and hurriedly going through it, you see this sort of red can kind of splash out, explode, and this liquid sort of burst on the opposite side of the walkway as they're continuing to throw and remove items from the bag before eventually just tipping it over and shaking it. Another Arc Guard operative directly above them. Come on, let's go. Come on, we gotta hurry up. Let's get out of here. What are you looking to do?
How close are we? Sorry.
You're probably within about 30 or so feet based on your ability to kind of maneuver up unimpeded.
I'm going to very briefly break away from... I'm going to give Rose a look, and I'm going to break away just enough, and I'm going to wait until I can watch her maybe get a little bit closer. I'm going to make sure that if anyone gets the attention, it's me, and I'm gonna shoot one of them if they look in my direction.
Make an effort to be accurate.
As a 5.
Okay. As the shot itself rings out, Operative Poppy, please roll a d4. And Rose, what are you looking to do in the immediate circumstances?
If she opens fire, I'm gonna run and at the other one, I guess. I'm just gonna run to my raccoon.
Make an effort to utilize your fitness or physique, please.
Okay. 6.
Okay. Turning your direction at the sound of the shot and quickly trying to address the individual sort of dumping out the remnants of the raccoon bag goes to quickly grab the submachine gun they have slung across the front of their chest, and in so doing gets the raccoon caught in between the straps, not having fully let go of it yet. There is this quick blast of gunfire that almost ricochets off in the complete opposite direction, seeing you directly on top of them without them having an opportunity to take a clean shot at you. What would you like to do, Rose?
I'm gonna jam a scalpel in his neck. Just across the front of the throat if I can get to the front.
Make an effort to utilize your brawling.
Okay. Yep. This is fine. This is fine. Okay. Not as 3.
So as you are charging forward, their form still totally off center is at least able to swing back, knocking the strike largely out of the way. And they look to line you up with their submachine gun as they readjust and get the raccoon out of the way. Your attack unable to immediately find purchase in a vital area. That provides Operative Poppy a brief window of opportunity to react. What would you like to do as you see Rose's form sort of thrust and shunted?
I'm shooting him. I'm shooting
Okay.
the person that's going after my sister. That's a 7.
Okay. Roll a d4 for me as well, please, would you?
The first one I rolled a 3, by the way.
Yep, I remember.
That one's a 2.
Okay. So, Rose, as you find yourself lunging towards this secondary guard, the one directly to your left cascades backwards as they begin to fall towards the ground, unable to respond. And as you find yourself facing down the barrel of this submachine gun, the form is quickly ripped and spun around as this spurt of blood somewhere near the shoulder seems to rip out, throwing their form off kilter before this erratic spray of gunfire sweeps across in Operative Poppy's direction. This short and quick burst Operative Poppy, please roll a d4.
That's another 2.
Rose, you see as the individual's form falls to the ground to join the fellow guard immediately nearby. Another pool of blood on Poppy's form emerges, this one far too central in location to be a grazed wound along the side, and apparently a hole exposed in the portion of the stomach sees your sister gut shot and now bleeding.
The two that are these two guys down?
One is down for sure. The other seems to be severely injured and could rise to fight again in some time, perhaps.
If I'm close enough to drop a knee in his gut and try again with the scalpel, just like right on top of him.
We'll say for the sake of brevity, he's trying to recover from just having been grounded and shot and is not really able to immediately adjust to a physical assault. Quick opportunity to slip and finish as the two guards now lie next to each other, seemingly motionless.
I'll run over to my sister as soon as they're not moving and
It's fine.
Wait, it's not. Well, hold on. Let me look at it.
We have to keep going.
Okay, I know, but just give me a second. And can I look? Is there anything that I grabbed from the office, from the medical tent, that I can slap on here super quick to at least?
Maybe don't stop.
You were, I believe,
Listen.
specifically looking for items of use in your escape for assailing opponents.
Then I will. Okay.
Make an
I'm
effort
going-
to apply your first aid, I'll say here.
Okay. 9.
So as you take a closer look, it's a pretty significant wound. He's going to be subjected to death by sepsis or blood loss if she doesn't receive medical attention quickly.
I'm still wearing Art's jacket, right? Or did they take that
Correct.
off of me? Okay, I'm gonna rip that off and just tie it around her waist as hard as I can. I'm sorry. And I'm gonna cinch it really tight and tie it in a
Okay.
super tight knot.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Get up.
Okay. I'm gonna struggle to my feet if I can, and we gotta go.
I'm gonna try and
All
grab
of
one of those
your-
guns that those guys dropped, whichever one is closest.
Sure. All of your physique, fitness, endure, and grit efforts are going to be desperate efforts right now, Operative Poppy.
And I'm gonna grab my raccoon.
Okay. As you begin navigating towards the back gate, there is industrial blockades, an area where they likely take in and receive additional packages or collections, something to that vein. The shipping exchange that leads to a series of administrative hallways and buildings that segue towards the proper exit out the backside, non-civilian exit from the zoo itself. The structure itself appears to be heavily damaged. There is very little in the way of reinforcement, almost as if this area has previously been assailed. But as you navigate and open the door into the sort of last stretch of hallway in the area, staring directly back at you, leaning up against a small inlet in the wall, covered in blood all over. Large rifle directly next to her side is the form of Abigail Mrozik, seemingly leaning up against the wall, dead.
Keep going, come on, keep going.
As you're continuing to move forward, you hear the reloading of a shotgun. And from behind you, you hear, "Hold it right there." And you turn around to see Roscoe's form, your previous abductor, outside the factory. Y'all ain't going nowhere. Think you can just blow up everything we've put together, worked so hard for? I tried to treat you with respect. I tried to be fair. You killed a lot of my friends. So here's what I'm gonna do. First, and immediately takes a shot at Rose. Rose, please roll a d4. What'd you roll? 2.
2, sorry.
Poppy, both you and Rose are tumbling to the ground as her leg, largely taken out as a piece of her outer thigh, ripped and shredded away from the buckshot of a shotgun. Now, that's gonna get us close. This one.
I don't know
And-
if I have any more bullets, but I'm gonna try to shoot at him as soon as we're on the ground.
Okay. I'm gonna say go ahead and make an effort to be accurate in a desperate situation.
6.
6. So immediately raising the last remnant of ammo in your pistol, firing a shot off directly towards Roscoe's form. You see it strike right in the heart. Stumbles for a brief moment.
If he gives me a 3-second window, I'm going to try to fire from my position on the ground with the gun I just picked up.
Before you do that, the pain and disruption to your form, perhaps a bigger hurdle than putting shots on target. Please make an effort to harness your grit.
Okay. What is my grit? Oh, okay. 2.
As you sweep your body around to try and put the gun on target, the blistering pain blinds you and holds you steady for the briefest of moments, delaying you long enough that as the weapon swings around the end of Roscoe's shotgun, batting it directly off target and out of the way. You find your hand now crunched under the heavy footfalls that once pinned the body bag you were transported into the ground as he steps on your hand, holding the trigger in place. Sort of leaning down. Didn't have to be like this. Didn't have to be. Now it does. Stands up and points the gun directly towards Operative Poppy's chest. The open slide on your pistol indicating its lack of ammunition. And as you pause for a brief moment and the shot rings out, Rose, you feel the tension and weight leave your hand. The brief pause, Poppy, causing you to open your eyes to see Roscoe's form in between you and Rose's falling forward as this large entry wound splitting the gap between the eyes. Another set of heavy footfalls moving your direction as an operative clad in black and small yellow accents steps forward. Unable to really focus, this sort of stout but powerful form steps over towards you, kind of grabs you roughly by the shoulder, kind of drags you to your feet, Poppy. I'm not sure I really see what the big deal is with you two, but if you see Kesh, you tell him he's got a deal. Say it. Repeat it to me.
If we see Kesh, we tell him he has a deal. Do I recognize his voice?
I don't know that you'd have a reason to, unless I can recall. Rose, I will say you can make an effort to use your sociology here.
Seven.
This is the somewhat distinct and rather familiar voice of Operative Gear.
So I would know him.
Similarly, reaching over and dragging you up by a firm grip on your arm. Can you walk?
I'll try.
Gear comes back over to you, Poppy. I don't know where you were stationed, who trained you, or what your mission is. You shoot me again and I'll fucking kill you. And he begins to turn and walk away.
I'm wait till he's out of earshot, and then I'm just gonna, under my breath, if I shoot you again, you're gonna be dead.
From slightly within the deeper interior of the building beyond, Roscoe's form lay dead on the ground. You and Rose just struggling to move on, and you hear a radio crackling on in the distance. David, Dr. Gwen Parker Jones is safe. We're moving to the exit. And this laugh can be heard from nearby as you round the corner to see Kesh leaning up against the wall. At the end of the hallway, smoking a cigarette in one hand, the other hand placed up next to his neck. A large pool of blood directly near his butt. Oh, hey. You made it.
We gotta go.
No, I'm not going anywhere. And he moves his hand away from his neck to reveal this very overt and obvious bite mark alongside his neck. I'm just looking to relax here for a minute. It's, Calliope, right? Maya? I
I'll
saw
just
the file.
look at my sister. What? What
Why
did you...
didn't you, want to tell me? Ah, never mind. Who the fuck cares anymore? Well, Good to meet you. My name's Alex. Rose and Poppy. It's fucking charming. You have a cure in you. You know that, right?
Yes.
Good. I don't think there's many of us left.
You.
Glitch will run comm systems. Pause will help be a medic. I'm done running anything. Sorry.
I'm gonna kneel down beside Kesh. Put a hand on his less damaged side. We're gonna make this right.
I'm sure you will. Oh. He reaches towards his side and pulls the walkie off the side of his vest, handing it to you. The doctor is out. I think David's on his way. Glitch should be waiting for you at the north gate. I need someone to help rebuild the Archangels. Operative Poppy. Operative Rose. Maya, Calliope, whatever the fuck you call yourselves. You have a chance to save a lot of people. Just don't let me become one of them.
I'm gonna reach a hand back, hoping that with her twin senses, she will know that I'm asking for the scalpel. I don't know if we have anything else we can use.
I will take the radio from my sister and hand her the scalpel.
Make it quick. Don't fuck about. And he kind of grabs your hand as you are holding the radio. Airstrike authorization is currently green. Any remaining operatives inside the area of operation, you have 4 minutes. He seems to lean back, life fading from his form, disappearing away.
Make it quick.
A quick shunt in the already weakened form sees Kesh slip and fall. A clear street and segue away from the back entry to the city zoo. Now devoid of Zerk activity, most of the nearby and surrounding shambling masses having already made their way inside or in one of a number of different devastating explosions. David, as you find your way out, you see a large group of survivors cascading and gathering near the southern entrance. Julius, a small silver, almost box-like car seems to rise up off the ground. Just a small touch. Wheels begin protruding out of it as your protection drone seems to gravitate towards it, providing some kind of segueing authorization. And from the back of this extremely small vehicle, this hatch kind of opening up reveals glitch within. It's gonna be cramped, but come on, let's go. I just got word we got incoming.
The hell
You
out
alright?
of here. Yeah.
Yeah, me neither. Let's go. Slams the enclosure behind you. Amid the scattering fear and excitement out in the opposite end, David, you and Gwen, a similar gaze of locked eyes from across the distance that probably harkens back to some time long ago, provides a familiar embrace and a successful rescue. And Operative Poppy and Operative Rose ultimately vanishing into some obscure gap in between. David, before you and your recovered wife have an opportunity to exchange any words of note, you hear your walkie key on one last time. And moments before, the entirety of the zoo seems to be bathed in fire from the sky as an airstrike rains overhead.
This is Operative Rose, broadcasting on an open frequency. To anyone receiving this message, know that we are still fighting to bring the world back. We have a cure. If you can help us, we'll be waiting for you at Rescue Station Foxtrot. And to those of you out there surviving, stay safe, stay alive.